Time Gate Moments. Welcome. Hi there. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Welcome to Time Gate Moments. Well, this is just another video which is slightly off usual topics of the flat earth cosmography and campaign. Yes. Why? Because somebody asked the question the other day. You know, when sometimes you are out there minding your own business and then a person just gets in your face and says, look, Gog and Magog, where are they in the flat earth? Are they under? Are they above? Are they to the side? Are they tucked away somewhere? Where are they? If the earth is flat, where are Gog and Magog? That was the question. You know, slightly caricaturing, but you get the gist. Where's Gog and Magog, man? We want to see some evidence. If the earth is flat, where do they live? That was the question. So we put together this video. It's nothing sophisticated. It's more of just a basic narrative to demystify, to debunk, to ease off the tons and tons of misconceptions, legendary imagination, exaggerated imagery that you may have in your mental model, so you can sort of come back to reality. So check it out and let us know how it goes. So let us continue on our journey on the topic of Yajuj and Majuj in order to gain further understanding and comprehension into this subject. Now, this is Hitler, and he's best known for being a major player, one of the major leadership during the World War II conflagration and warfare. Many people died. This man, Hitler, was also known for his fanaticism, his extremism, and also his obsession with the organizing, creating, and leading and establishing a master race whom in his estimation were Nordic people from the north, Northern European, blue-eyed, blonde hair, tall, statured, that type of people. He had this obsession. These Northern Europeans, Germanic, Nordic, Scandinavian race, this blue-eyed, tall, blonde-haired race, they were the highest or the top of the human race. And therefore, they should be established. They should have an empire, and everybody should sort of serve under them. But here is a simple question. Where on earth is Hitler getting this inspiration, these notions, this advice, these ideas, this imagination? Where is it all coming from? Where is he downloading this stuff from? That these tall, Nordic specimen, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, this sort of master race, as he called it, they should be the rulers of the earth. They should have an empire. I mean, these guys, they were planning. Of course, you may have guessed it by now that him and all the people around him are not exactly blonde, are they? Nor are they blue-eyed. And they certainly not tall, Nordic, and, well, handsome. They were far from that. But that's beside the point. Why the obsession? Where is he getting this revelation or downloading that these Nordic, sort of Northern European, Germanic people, they are the top of the food chain. They are the master race, and they specifically have to be blue-eyed, blonde-haired, tall, handsome, almost coming across as being advanced. Look at this ID parade here. Again, there's the Nordic agent right there, parading amongst the greys, the insectoids, and the reptilians. That Nordic agent is always there. So why the obsession with Hitler and his deranged empire obsessed forces? And by the way, these babies right here, these kids, they had absolutely nothing to do with this madness, this fanaticism, and these fanatics. Nothing. These are babies and children created by Allah for His own purpose. Anyway, let's pull up the one of the verses. Well, basically just one of the two verses that concerns Yajuj Majuj in the Noble Quran. By the way, just to announce a disclaimer, many Muslims, they may disagree. They may be counter-opinionated about some of the ways that this verse, as well as other parts of the Quran regarding Yajuj and Majuj, may be applied. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's fine. It is okay to be counter-opinionated in our attempt to understand something from a different perspective, a more comprehensive perspective, a different approach. Nothing wrong with that. Many scholars and others in Islam, as well as in Islamic history, disagreed on many things. So it's okay. You are welcome to listen, to bring on the table what you have to say, your understanding. You may have the keys to augment and even further substantiate the topic here. Anyway, so that's fine. Just to put that across for any Muslims that may be hearing this video. And what is different in our approach is that we essentially apply three basic factors. Number one, we apply reality to the topic. Secondly, we apply basic history to the subject. And thirdly, we make use and utilize basic logic and reason. And what we mean by basic reason and logic is that, for example, check this out and think about this carefully. If Yajuj and Majuj, according to the majority of Muslims' understanding, if Yajuj and Majuj are supposedly still locked up, and therefore they are going to be released sometime in the future, and then when they are released, eventually they are going to storm out. They're going to be unleashed in the millions, in the billions in some cases. They're going to just cause havoc. They're going to storm out and chew up people's head off and drink up the rivers of the earth, monster-like, big-eared. They're just all over the place in the millions. What we're going to do, and this and that, and this and that. Then how comes, think about this carefully, how comes, if that is really the case, and therefore they are still locked up, and that's what they're going to do when they are unleashed, then how comes that was not the case? How comes they were not doing that? How comes they were not behaving like that? How come they were not rampaging in the millions before Dhul Qarnayn alayhi salam locked them up and barricaded them behind the iron gate? How comes? How comes there is no history? How come there are no records? How come there is no legend? How come there's no artifacts? How comes there's no pottery? There's no archaeology about them behaving like that before Dhul Qarnayn, the general, locked them up in the Caucasian region? How comes? You see, think about this carefully. Likewise, when you apply basic reality, you start to see the picture, the pattern. These people were just regular human beings like everyone else. It's just that they were more bent on corruption, pillaging, and fasad, otherwise known as the barbarians. With that being said, now let's go back to this verse here from Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 96. Now, without necessarily delving or dissecting every word of the verse, because we can do that in some other episode some other discussion, opportunity, and so forth. But for now, we want to pay attention to the two words, the two terms of Yajuj and Majuj. Now, why is it the Quran uses these two terms to refer to these people and these populations? Why? Because we know etymologically both terms, Yajuj and Majuj, etymologically they come from the word aj. You see, for example, to give you an example from the Arabic morphology, the mastar development. For example, you have yaf'al and maf'ul. You see, yaf'al and maf'ul, Yajuj and Majuj. And in terms of meaning and definition of what the word Yajuj means, there are two primary meaning and definition, and both are equally as important as the other. One meaning is that Yajuj means to move rapidly with fire, to blaze forward, infuriated. You see, firearms. I think that would be one modern sort of addition there. To move fast and forward with fire, to be angry. You see, that's what Yajuj means right there. And the other meaning is to corrupt things, to contaminate, to make things salty, to make things bitter, to pollute the earth. That's what it also means. For example, in Surah Waqi'ah, that's chapter 56 of the Quran. In Surah Waqi'ah, there's a verse where Allah says, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ لَوْ نَشَاءُ جَعَلْنَاهُ أُجَاجًا. You see, talking about the water and the water cycle, the rain system. Allah says, had we wanted it, we would have made it ujaj, bitter and salty, so you won't be able to drink it, referring to rainwater, the blessing and the gift of rainwater. So there's the word ujaja. You see, now the word ujaja in that verse is a derivative from the word ajja, the exact word where Yajuj comes from. There's the alif, the jim, ajja. You see, Yajuj in this form and in the Surah Waqi'ah form is ujaj, which means to make things bitter, to contaminate, to make it salty, unpalatable. You see, to corrupt, basically. And it is really interesting today when you look around with all this industrialism. Who is producing all this plastic, all this pollution, acid rain, germ warfare, environmental hazards, and all the other problems that are there facing humanity? Whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you understand it or not, this is what Yajuj means, to corrupt and contaminate. Look at this one over here, the gun production. It all goes back to the northern people. There are no Africans or Indonesians or South Americans or Arabs or, Malaysians inventing and producing guns. Look at this one here, the 3 most destructive guns. Wow. Who even heard of Lockheed Martin? Is it an individual? Is it a corporation? What is going on? Look at this one. It just gets worse. Netherlands promoting same-sex marriage in the early 2000s. Incredible. Look at this one of the greatest modern corruption and mischief right here. Where is all this coming from? Think about it. Where is it all coming from? Man coming from ape. What's going on? Now, you might argue, this is just all technology. It's about thinking, discovery. Come on, man, just get with the program. Why are you making all these claims? Just think, get your ideas together. It's a fair game. It's a fair game. Everybody's got a chance, and just get on with it. It's just technology. Well, not entirely true, is it? Why should the invention of such destructive weapons, ideas, and industry, why should they be unique to a particular location and the people there? Think about that carefully. For example, the Industrial Revolution. What was all that about? Why in the North? Let's just say this is the manifestation of the behavior and nature of certain people amongst mankind, and not necessarily an entirely evil. No, this is more of a behavior and conduct issue. You see, it does exactly what it says on the tin. You see, it's all in the name Yajuj. Just pay attention. So there you go. Now you know. Yajuj etymologically means to corrupt, to contaminate, to turn something upside down, to cause corruption and facade. That's what it means, to make something bitter, you see. And that's why when you go, all this industry, all this industrialism in the world, plastic production, petroleum, byproducts, ozone layer issues, acid rain, asthma, all the pollution in the air, and what have you, diseases, it all somehow goes back to this industrialism that the northern people have started, and they continue to promote and mass produce through industry. Food contaminants, artificial additives in the food and the ingredients, the impact, the psychological impact of worldwide web or worldwide social media. You see, all the things that are being presented to your eyes. You see, this is all part of the Yajuj and the corruption and what have you. So yeah, it is real. There's no beating around the bushes. This is real. Look around the world. A lot of people are angry. They're stressed out, confused. They're having all these psychological whispers and problems. Somehow, one way or another, shape or form, this is related to industry, the corruption of the earth in terms of production, industry, poison production, and what have you. You name it. Because 25% of our deen is about the akhir zaman, the latter days. So you have to ask yourself sincerely, where is all this coming from? Especially in the last 100 years, especially in the last 60 years. Where is it all coming from? You see, so that's Yajuj etymologically in terms of definition and meaning. And then we have the second term, Majuj. So what does Majuj mean? It means exactly the same as Yajuj, only that Majuj is in the passive form, whereas Yajuj is in the active form, i.e., Yaf'al and Maf'ul. This is why those ancient people, that town, that village, those ancient Georgians, that's why they outcried, complaining. قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض. مفسدون في الأرض. Come on, people, think. And in case you still don't get it, because you have your preconceived mental imagination about some creatures, monster-like creatures that will emerge in the future, in the millions, behind some cave or behind some barrier sometime in the future. How can anyone really blame you for anything? You see, that is a natural consequences of misunderstanding, Hollywood, legend, interpolation, and disinformation. Simple as that. When Allah says, Mufsiduna fil ard, how do you understand that in terms of real meaning, definition, and reality as a logical, free-thinking Muslim person in the modern day? How do you understand that? Mufsiduna fil ard in relation to Yajuj and Majuj and the latter days, i.e. Akhir Zaman. How do you understand that? Just think for a moment. You see, It means corrupters of the earth, to spread mischief in the earth, to contaminate the natural order and traditional way of things. That's what it means. And how? Through industrialism, consumption, social media, marketing, you see, acid rain, carbon monoxide, plastic production, smog and smoke in the air, asthma. You see, all the types of different plastic and waste, environmental waste in the ocean, in the waterways, men marrying men. You see, a child having sex change during childhood, ladies walking around in the open, in the marketplaces, semi-naked, dressed and naked at the same time. That's what mufsiduna fil ard means, to turn things upside down. You see, to sow corruption, fasad. Come on, people. What are you talking about? Think. Mufsiduna fil ard. Social media, World Wide Web, pornography. Come on. That's what mufsiduna fil ard means. Look at this scene here. The skies of London, United Kingdom. Even the sky is not spared nowadays. You know, mufsiduna fis sama, spraying all these chemtrails above humanity. What is it? Artificial cloud creation, blocking off the sunlight, you name it. What is it? You see, Allah made the sky to be blue or cloudy or rainy. You see, what's all this spraying here? You see, this is fasad. In the name of science, experimentation, whatever you might want to call it, there is always side effects that comes out of these things. You know, human intervention. Why can't we leave it just the way Allah made it? You see, even the sun is being blocked off. If that is not fasad in the sky, then what is? You know, this is what happens when you apply reality, basic logic and reason to the topics and subjects of Akhir Zaman. You start to see the reality, the pattern, the full picture and manifestation of things as they happen, instead of the exaggerated stories of monsters, millions of monsters stuck behind some cave somewhere that have been superimposed on the Quranic verses and hadiths. No way, Jose. This is the reality right here. Things are happening right before your eyes, such as the cloud seeding right here, the creation of artificial rain right here. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Many Muslims out there nowadays, they are actually waiting for a flying donkey made out of iron. Imagine that. Hence the Dajjal will appear when the people have forgotten about him or when they least expect him to appear. So that's Yajuj for now, and his corrupting nature and fasad. Now let's go back to this word here, Majuj, the latter word of the two, his comrade or his brother or both. Now Majuj has the same meaning as Yajuj, only that Majuj is in the passive form. For example, yaf'al, that will be Yajuj, the doer, the active doer of an action. And then you have Majuj, i.e. maf'ul, the one the action has been done to. So here, Yajuj means the one who has been corrupted, the one who has been turned bitter, the one who has been affected by the fire and the bitterness of Yajuj. You see, Yajuj and Majuj. You see, so That's just a basic face value of the meaning of Majuj, the one who has been corrupted, the one who has been made bitter, the one who has been contaminated. You see, the one who has been magogified. You see, uh, it also can refer to the land where Yajuj lives. His landscape. The land has been magogified. It has been impacted. It has been inhabited. It has been contaminated. It has been affected by Yajuj. And therefore, but in the Quran, the two names obviously represent two human figures, two representations. But nevertheless, the meanings are there for a profound reason, you see. And by the way, what you are watching here, this bit of the video, is just one example, one aspect of the worldwide social and cultural transformation that has occurred in the last 100 years or so, specifically in the last 60 or so years. You see, the question is, what on earth has happened to the traditional dress code of people? Remember, at one point in history, not long ago, each culture, each nation, each region was different in terms of culture, food, dress code, you see, outlook from another. For example, the Africans were not the same as the Chinese. Chinese were different from the Cambodians. Cambodians were different from the Europeans. And the Turks were different from the Mesoamericans, and so on and so on. But today, there seems to be a worldwide homogenization of dress code. You see, where is the exclusivity? Where's the uniqueness between cultures? You see, why is it wherever you go nowadays, you will find a McDonald's or a Burger King? You see, what is going on? You see, where is all this coming from? Have you ever asked yourself, where is it all coming from? It is also important that you understand and grasp that we are not talking about symbolic language here. Yajuj and Majuj are real names of people who died long time ago. However, it is their progeny that are in the earth today. Their children, their descendants, their lineage, their effect and facade, their constitutions, their institutions, their theology, their world view, their marketing system. This is what is in the world today. Their monetary system, their international political agenda, their technology, their international social media, their weapons of mass destruction, and of course, their international liberal order. Look at these, just as any other statues out there, whether ancient or nowadays, Apollo or Caesar or Muhammad Ali or Queen Victoria or some other guy out there in Mesoamerica or the Aztec. You see, only that nowadays people don't dress like this no more. Why? Because time has moved on. Today we wear suits, we drive cars, we type on the computers and send emails, we shop on Amazon. You see, we jump on airplanes, and of course, we play football. What? Understand this, because it is very, very important. Every single person on the earth today is a descendant of an ancient people or individuals. There are no millions of monsters locked up behind some cave or a wall awaiting to be released. In other words, don't confuse your exaggerated imagination and legendary understanding with the fact and reality that these are just a branch or branches of Bani Adam who have a mission and a campaign to accomplish in Akhir Zaman as part of Allah's decree to allow things to happen. So there you go. Majuj is referring to the brother, the lineage, the comrade, the lands of Yajuj, and all the other people who have been influenced and transformed by them geographically and DNA. Basic history, basic anthropology, basic records, whether it's Islamic, whether it's secular, whether it's biblical, will show you exactly what we are talking about here. In fact, there is nothing profound or secretive or legendary about this. This is just basic recount of basic history and the development and movement of people throughout the ages. The only issue really is that this part of history was never really entertained or covered in your academic history classes. That's why you were taught about the Romans, the ancient Chinese and Persians, the Egyptians, the Aztec, the Spanish, Columbus, even Islamic, and some parts of European history, and so on so, but not the history of Yajuj and Majuj. Fact. So what do you end up with instead of the facts? You end up with entertainment. You see, Hollywood, Disneyland. You end up with this stuff over here. Where are they now? Gigantic monsters with red eyes, beaming red eyes, standing behind some wooden wall. You see, what are we doing? What on earth are we doing? What's with the monsters with the horns? Something straight out of one of those Steven Spielberg blockbusters. Researchers have found the wall, what looks like a water dam. What are we doing, people? Subhanallah. Tell the people the truth. This is why there is restlessness in the Muslim world. You see, corruption and facade everywhere. Either they are being told what to do, or they are being bombed, or they just can't do anything. You see, Palestine just sums it up. Think about it. For example, in reality, have you ever asked yourself the question, why can't the Muslims combine their political, economical, and monetary systems just as the European Union did? What is the big deal? Aren't we so many, so rich? You see, so much oil. What is the big deal? Why can't the Muslim world have their own United Nations building somewhere in Medina or Mecca or Egypt? What's the big deal? You see, let other nations come there and report to them. What is the big deal? Exactly. Now you see it. Now, many Muslims, or at least those who may be watching this video, might be thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? Does he have peanuts for brains? You see. Now, these same people are the one who are still waiting for millions and millions of monsters to be released behind some cave or a wall somewhere. You see, imagine you have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for ET to phone home. Imagine. But that's fine. It's all good. Maybe one day, if we keep waiting and waiting and waiting, we will see a flying donkey made out of iron. We'll see. Guys, if you are still confused, especially if you are a Muslim watching this video and you are still not sure, you are still confused, dilly-dallying about our discussion and perspective here on the topic, and you are still thinking, oh, I'm not sure, This is not in accordance with the normal narrative. Yajuj and Majuj are still out there in the millions and billions, locked up behind some cave or between two mountains in some sort of a time capsule. They have not been released yet. No, stop this and so forth. That's fine. That is fine. You have the right to your imagination, just as Steven Spielberg has the right to imagine what he does. You see, so it's all good. And usually, at least nowadays, this imagination of monsters in the millions locked up still, maybe they are midgets. This notion, this imagination of millions of midgets, or giants or whatever, locked up behind some place, is usually reinforced by popular YouTubers, Photoshops, optic illusion, images. Nowadays we are living in the age of CGI and so forth. And that's what human beings do. We like to imagine, exaggerate, bring in legend, and then the mind just runs away with it. You see, the rest is just Hollywood nowadays anyway. So that's fine. Listen, in order to come back to reality, you just need to apply 3 basic things. Number 1, there is clear footprint, geographic footprint of these people and their populations and their locations and so forth, and their movement, historic movements, all the way to the present day. The second thing is, think about this carefully. If, for example, these people are supposedly, monsters, midgets, whatever, these millions of rampaging people, if they are going to be released in the future, and when they are released, they're going to storm out and just cause havoc and drink up entire rivers and just chew off people's heads and just mash things down and so forth, havoc. Why is it they did not do that before Dhul Qarnayn locked them up? Where were they before? Did they exist? Think about it. If when they come out, whatever they are known to do, they should be doing that prior to being locked up. Have you ever thought about that? Exactly. Now you see the way this is going. And the third thing is, listen, since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, things have moved on. The world has moved on. There has been massive geographic shifts in terms of human intermigration, mixing, expansion. New nations have developed. You see, new countries and empires. Empires have come and gone. Who do you think destroyed the Romans? Were these not the barbarians, aka Yajuj Majuj? Just think. Things have moved on. People are not on horseback no more, hiding behind woods, and they have tanks. They have jet fighters, they bomb people and so forth and these things. The world has moved on. Just as Muslims are wearing suits and ties, so are the descendants of Yajuj Majuj. Going to work, drinking coffee. What's wrong with that? Why are you being racist? The world has moved on. And everybody on the earth is a descendant of people who are long gone. You see, things have moved on. The population of the earth has grown. New geographic countries, demarcations, nations, ideals. Maybe not maybe. Nowadays people are more civilized because they are part of the ummah or the nation of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The people are more civilized. You see, Africans who may have never ever been to Europe, Germany, Scandinavia, Russia, Japan, not Japan, I beg your pardon, England, Iceland, Norway, what is it? Germany. People who may have never been to these places, say 1,000 years ago, are now in these countries. The world has moved on. This is the reality. When you apply this, you start to see it for what it is. And maybe sometimes human beings, we prefer legend and imagination, fantasia, as opposed to the reality at hand. Yeah. The whole point is this. People don't dress like this no more because the earth and the times have moved on. You see, nevertheless, the behavior and the nature to sow corruption and spread mischief is still there today. And yes, the truth is more terrifying than fiction. Guys and Muslims, the reality is there are no millions of monsters or notorious midgets who are still locked up somewhere. Forget about that. The fact of the matter is the gate was here, right here, as indicated by the yellow arrow. And in fact, if you look at this map closer, the gate is known as the Scythian Gate, right there. Why is it called the Scythian Gate? Because it was put there to keep the Scythians in the north from coming south through the Caucasian region, because this was the only opening in this tremendously cold, tough, and mountainous region known as the Caucasian Plateau. This was the only ancient passage for the Scythians, the Sarmatians, the Roxolanis, the Nogays, and others who lived north of the Caucasian. These guys were none other than Yajuj and Majuj. And Dhul Qarnayn put the gate there, you see, to keep them coming from the south in order to protect people to the south of that place. So what happened to the Scythian Gate, or Dhul Qarnayn's barrier? It is gone forever and forever, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised him. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّا وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي حَقًّا. And when the promise of my Lord comes, he will level it to the ground as though it was never there on the first place. And the promise of my Lord is true. You see, so this is it right here. You are looking at the exact location of the Scythian Gate, or Dhul Qarnayn's barrier, today known as the Darial Gorge or the Darial Pass, which is part of northern Georgia in present day. There is now compelling evidence as well as convincing argumentation that Dhul Qarnayn is none other than Cyrus the Great, king of Persia, or Parthia as on this map. He was a believer and a Messiah that is appointed and inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a king. And he was the one who built this barrier known as the Scythian Gate. So why is it known as the Scythian Gate? Because it was built to keep away the notorious barbarian tribes that lived north of the Caucasian area, such as the Scythians, the Sarmatians, basically Yajuj and Majuj, from coming south of the Caucasian area in order to terrorize people and villages there. This was the only passage, so Dhul Qarnayn blocked it off. Notice on this map about his empire. When it comes to the Caucasian area, his empire does not extend any further north from Georgia and Armenia, you see, because anything north of the Caucasia, these are the lands of Yajuj and Majuj, or the Scythians, no-go area. Now, it is very important to understand that most of this goes back to the time of Nuh alayhi salam, the prophet of Allah, long time ago. And according to the Bible, he had 3 sons. And Ibn Kathir, one of our major scholars and historians, he also writes about this extensively. And these 3 sons, there we go, from the Table of Nations, a biblical account. Now, Shem in the middle, he's the father and lineage of the prophets and messengers. as it says in Surah Safat, وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ alayhi salam. And then his brother Ham, Cush, Canaan or Canaanites, Phut, and the Africans. And then their brother Japheth or Japheth, he's the father of Gomer, Majuj, Tubal, and their siblings there. Then after the great catastrophe, these three sons, basically Bani Nuh alayhi salam, they had to repopulate the entire earth, or at least the earth or the world that was known to the Bible at that time, or at least in terms of biblical account, narrative, and spectrum. Other than the slight details, variations here and there, this information overall conforms to and confirms the general origin of certain populations, their locations, and habitations. For example, as you can see here on the illustration, Ashkenaz, a Caucasian forefather, is the son of Gomer and the nephew of Majuj. Why? Because Majuj is the brother of Gomer, you see. We also know that most of this can be independently corroborated through genealogy, anthropology, and genetics. And not just that, also most of this goes back to the Bible, which we know most of it goes back to either a prophet of Allah or revelation from Allah. Okay, some of it might not be entirely accurate to the letter, but nonetheless, most of this information is generally true. Now, at this point of the presentation and talk, we have to ask a critical question, which is necessary for this video regarding Yajuj and Majuj, the destruction of the people of Noah, Nuh alayhi salam. Was it worldwide, or was it specific to a particular people, location, and region? The Quranic narrative, the Bible, secularist, legend, and others seem to differ slightly, a bit there and a bit here. Sang, song, sing, sang, song, 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 sing, sang, sang, sing, sang, sing, song, 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 sang, sang, sing, sang, song, 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 sing, 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 sing. Sang, sing, sang, sing, sang, sing, song, 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 sang, sing, sang, sing, sang, sing, song, sing, 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 sang, sing, song, 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 sang, sing, 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 sang, song, 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 sang, sing, song, sang, sing. Sing, 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 sang, song, 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 sing, 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 sang, sang, sing, sang, sing, sang, sing, sang, sang, sing, sang, sing, sang, song, 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 sang, sing, sing. Sing, 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 song, 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 sing, song, sing, sang, sing, 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 sang, sing, sang, sing, song, 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 sing, sang, sing, song, 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 sang, sang, sing, 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 song, 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 ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 hey, ding, hey, hey, ding, 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 hey, hey, hey. Now let us entertain this very, very fascinating table of lineage, ancient lineage. So right at the top we have Japheth, the son of Noah, Noah, the prophet of Allah, alayhi salam. And right below him, we have two of his many sons, in particular Majuj and his brother Gomer. Now, on face value, Gomer might as well just be Yajuj himself. Perhaps the name has been slightly lost in translation throughout the ages. Allahu A'lam. And these two sons, they had many, many descendants and populations, as you can see here on the table. In the early days, we have Ashkenazis. You may have heard that name in today's television, social media, as well as in other places. And then later on, we have the Saxons, the Scythians. Now, the Scythians, as we already explained, these were the people or tribes whom Dhul Qarnayn built the barrier against in the Caucasian region in order to protect people who were living south of the Caucasian mountains. And then later on, we have the Huns, the Bulgars, the Khazars, the Cumans, and then later on we have the Tatars, the Mongols, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Turkmen, the ancient Ukrainians, and many other cousins and brothers who are not necessarily indicated on this illustration. It is also the case in historical times and documents that these people were in most cases referred to as a collective and not necessarily as an individual. In most cases, they were referred to as the Scythians or the Sarmatians or the barbarians or the Mongols or the Goths. And likewise, the Quran gives you a more comprehensive collective names, Yajuj and Majuj, represented by two forefathers and bloodlines. Before and during the medieval times, the names referred to them is slightly differed depending on the location, the tribes, and the descendants of Yajuj and Majuj the civilized world was dealing and battling with. For example, the Muslim world referred to them as the Mongols and the Tatars in the east, and in the west, the Roman Empire referred to them as the barbarians, the Goths, and the Germanic forces or tribes. And in the central regions, where Dhul Qarnayn built the barrier, i.e. the Caucasian area, they were known as the Scythians and the Caucasian tribes. Now let's go back to this map here. And many Muslims, what they have failed to understand, and if they could, they would, is that when Dhul Qarnayn built the wall, here indicated by the black line, it was just a barrier between two mountain slopes. You know, Bayna Sadafain. You see. Now, as you can see, if Yajuj and Majuj are living to the north of that barrier, it just means they cannot come to the south to terrorize the people at the blue spot. You know, قالوا يا ذا القرنين إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض. Those complainers. But in terms of going to the north, or northeast, or northwest, they were free to do that. You know, going west, northwest towards, I don't know, Ukraine. That is, they can roam about and go anywhere they want in the north, west, north, east. Because why? That is their land. You know, ancient Ukraine. Above that, you got the Bulgaria, to the west, Germanic areas, and so forth. The Scythians, as you can see here, to the northeast. And north itself is just that they were barred from coming to the south. It is as simple as that. This idea, this notion that somehow Dhul Qarnayn managed to trap millions of them in some kind of a cave or time capsule or something of that nature, and that's it, they cannot go anywhere, it's just absurd, and definitely historic fabrication, development, myth, interpolation that somehow entered the house of Islam. No doubt about that. Just to recap something so as to drive the point home, and think about this carefully. Imagine if they were in the millions, and therefore they used to come down and swarm down and just terrorize the people, drink their blood, chew their head off, big-eared giants drinking up entire rivers and so forth, how comes that was not known before Dhul Qarnayn built the barrier? How comes? How comes that is not anywhere in history? How come that was not known? How come they did not do that before the gate of Dhul Qarnayn was built? No, the reality is that there was one opening, one route in this very tough, cold, and mountainous region known as the Caucasian region. And they used to come through that route occasionally to terrorize the people south of that area. And Dhul Qarnayn, out of Allah's mercy, he just closed it off for some time. But when the wall collapsed, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, the rest is history. Since then, it has been a matter of mass human intermigration, new nations formations, mixing, and what have you, until all the way to today. Sang, sing, song, 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 sing, song, sing, song, 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 sang, sang, sing, 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 song, 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 song. Now let's return to this interesting table one more time. So here's the argument. Here is the argument to sort of nail the coffin. If Gomer is not Yajuj necessarily, and therefore he's just another brother of Majuj, it means that Yajuj must be somebody else and not necessarily a son of Japheth or a brother of Majuj. You see, if Gomer is not Yajuj, it must be that Yajuj was somebody else. You see, someone else who was living in the same, a contemporary, who was living in the same continental stretch and area, a survivor from the flood of Nuh alayhi salam, not necessarily an individual, it could also be a collective of people who took shelter in the northern part of the earth, of course, by Allah's will and permission, just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed Shaitan to survive and go about his business. As you can see on the map here, Gomer, the brother of Majuj, he is the forefather and original progenitor of mainland Europe, including North and Western Europeans. And keep in mind, this is after the great flood of Nuh alayhi salam. Going back to the Quran, we can clearly see the two agents, Yajuj, the original fire starter, and Majuj, the one who is affected by his DNA and genetic footprint, which includes their geographic lands and later descendants. Now here is something of interest, a key note, and it really gets interesting. In today's classification and taxonomy, all Europeans, one way or another, are referred to as Caucasians. But we know in reality, all Europeans are not Caucasians. So why the obsession to classify everyone on this continent as Caucasians when they are not? And then there is the controversial issue of European-centric anthropology, which basically kicked off about 200 years ago. Charles Darwin and those guys back then, who proclaimed through artifacts, imagination, and other propositions and explanations that the original forefathers, the original progenitors of today's European population were cavemen, Neanderthals, hunter-gatherers, prehistoric people who were somewhat semi-human and beast-like. And of course, as Muslims, we know most of this is just bread and butter in order to promote the so-called theory of evolution, which has been put together to deviate humanity from the truth and haqq. Whether it's intentional or an exaggeration in anthropology is specific to a particular part of the earth, we don't really care. You see, what we know for a fact is that everyone is from Adam alayhi salam, a common father. Let's just say the devil is in the details, for sure. Check this out, and don't touch that microphone. Time gate moments in the house. If Gomer, the brother of Majuj, is not Yajuj, as we saw earlier on the table, it means that there is no doubt whatsoever that the so-called caveman and early prehistoric Europeans, referred to as hunter-gatherers and cave dwellers, are none other than the people of Yajuj. It appears to be the case that these people, this particular race of Bani Adam, if they are not the descendants of the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, and later generations, they may have been contemporaries of the Prophet himself, Nuh alayhi salam, and may have subsequently survived the great flood and catastrophe by taking shelter in the northern parts of the earth, of course, by Allah's permission and plan, etc. Remember, the Quran does not necessarily make it clear that the destruction of the people of Nuh was the entire earth. Unless the civilization of Nuh were the only people on earth at that time, we may never know. Whatever the case is exactly for their lineage, the undeniable reality is that these people were trapped in the northern parts of the earth under what is known as the Ice Age for a long time, completely cut off from the rest of the earth and the world in terms of economics, trade, social interaction, and resources. Consequently, because of the long-term, harsh, bitter cold, climate, conditions, and environment, over time, these people started to lose their melanin, their skin pigments, their complexions, and even their physical appearances and posture, and became more hairy, more tough, and brutal in their behavior, and so forth and so forth. And there is really no disrespect intended or derogatory. This is a basic recollection of the reality and survival in the Ice Age for men and women back then. This is basic history. Sang, sing, song, sing, sang, sing, sang, song, sing, song, 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 sing, 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 song, 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 sing, 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 sing. These common European ancestors are usually explained away through evolution as having lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, if not millions, and therefore they were later replaced by Homo sapiens, us. Well, that is not entirely true, is it, Governor? What are you talking about, mate? This map shows you the exact location where the Neanderthal caveman originated from. Neanderthal is a real place in Germany, and the yellow coloration shows you how they spread and all the places where they lived. Which brings us back to the beginning of the video. Remember Hitler's obsession with the Aryan, Nordic, Germanic, advanced, blue-eyed race, who in his estimation were the first to evolve out of humanity. The big point for you to take from this is that these people in reality are either the descendants of Japheth, or they are Yajuj who later mixed with the progeny of Japheth and collectively make up Yajuj and Majuj. Okay guys, that's it for episode 1. See you soon for episode 2 and maybe 3 after that and 4, because this is a big topic and one episode cannot really do justice. So see you soon for the next episode when the opportunity arises. But for now, we have to go back to the flat earth reality. Spread the word, for sure. Yeah, 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 song, sing, song, sing, song, 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 sang, sing, 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 song, 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 song.